Diamonds in the Rough with Ben Jackson.
We do happen to have a question right now. Just for clarification, what do we want to consider formal? The polo shirt, or if we're not able to wear a button-down shirt, is that the appropriate attire?
Well, what we would like to see is, as soon as I get back to my my screen here, okay. Let's go back over here to the header on Kappa League TV. If you look at the header here, something along these lines, maybe you guys have jackets, maybe you have sweater vests, but that Kappa League bow tie just tells a story. And we'd like to take that bow tie and make it that when anybody sees that bow tie anywhere across the country, they know that you're those guys from Kappa League. So we want you to wear that bow tie.
Okay. Is there a special program that you use to actually do your video editing, and will we be going over how to do that in the future?
I use the same program, iMovie, but I use it on my both my computer and my phone. However, we're not going to go over that today, but Ben, I'm open to doing an iMovie segment at a future time.
Okay.
And to piggyback on that, so iMovie is accessible to everyone. I mean, that is pretty standard, so there shouldn't be any issue with that. Because of what I do in public relations for the military and government, I use Premiere Pro, which is a part of the Adobe suite. So that could be, along with iMovie, something that I could get them familiar with, because it's actually Premiere Pro is actually using today's newsroom. So I definitely want to get them familiar with it.
Well, why don't we do this? You and I talk about doing another one of these where we do a segment on iMovie and then a segment on Premiere Pro, so they can learn how to do the thing that they can have on their computer at home, but then they can also learn how to do what they're doing in real newsrooms.
Perfect. Works for me.
So Ben, I think that's our next one.
Okay. Here's a question. Where or to whom are chapters to submit the recorded news clips?
Okay, so the chapter is going to they're going to establish their own YouTube page. So if you don't have a YouTube page yet, then your chapter has to put up a YouTube page. And then your chapter will post on its own YouTube page. And what we're going to do at Kappa League TV is we're going to subscribe to your page as soon as you put it up. And so when you post something on your page, we'll get an announcement on our page that one of our subscribers has posted, and we'll begin a playlist just for your chapter. And ultimately, when anybody from around the country comes to Kappa League TV, they can look up your chapter and see what you're doing.
It sounds good. We have our national guide right director, our brother Burnett, on the line. If he'd like to say anything, he has the ability to have the floor now. The question that we do have is, how would you handle news segments during an actual event? How do you manage sound?
What do you think they mean by how would you handle it during?
So,
Right.
So during an event. So you mentioned the LA Kappa Leaguers going to the nursing home. So
Mhm.
that's during an actual event,
Uh-huh.
and there's sound going on in the background, right? So we all know, those of us that visited nursing homes, we've seen, the nurses are moving around. There could be a stat call, something could happen. So how do you manage the sound at that point?
So that great question, first of all. And I didn't get into all the details, but that's a perfect example. So in that example, you would actually, it's always good to have more than less. So in that situation, you want to make sure that you are shooting more video than you think you need, shooting more audio than you think you need, and getting more interviews than you think you need. So that way, you always have more to choose from, because it's bound to happen where there's going to be background noise. You're not going to have audio. As we've seen tonight, there's going to be technical difficulties sometime. So you always want to make sure you have more than enough. And saying that, also, when I was talking about background noise, you don't want to have noise that is distracting background noise. There is something called natural sound that is used in news segments. For example, once again, if you're out at the airport doing a story and you're talking about a plane taking off, you actually want to have that sound of the plane taking off. You're saying a Delta Airlines jet took off today, you hear the noise. That is what's called natural sound. So there are times where you want to incorporate what is called natural sound in there, as opposed to distracting background noise. So if they were at a nursing home and actually doing a story on how the caretakers are taking care of the folks who live at the nursing home, and if they're answering the phone or they're opening their door, that is actually that sound that can be incorporated in the actual story. That's not distracting. So we talk about background noise. If they were actually sitting there conducting an interview and the phone was ringing or someone is dropping a chair, you would want to move away from that sound and take them to a quieter area.
And those are all really, really good things. One thing that you can do is, while it's loudest in that public area, that's when you shoot your B-roll. So you get all of the things that are causing noise are the things you can focus your B-roll in on. The loudest people, the loud truck going by. They usually make it's usually kind of animated, and so it makes great B-roll because you're not going to necessarily use the sound from the B-roll, just the picture, right? And then you try and take your subject into a place that's a little quieter and more well lit. And if you have a lavalier, that can be very helpful in that situation, because you can just clip it onto their shirt, and you're only going to be so far away because you're doing an interview. So that's probably how you would handle, at least to handle the sound there. And outside, you would probably want to stay a little closer to the camera, or within the reach of your lavalier as well. But the best way to ensure better sound is to have a lavalier.
Exactly. The lavalier is a sound saver. It's the one you clip on your lapel or your collar, and is meant to be basically single directional in terms of picking up audio. You have other yep, I'm pulling up it on the screen. That's a lavalier right there. So that's the one you will see the news anchors wearing, as opposed to what we call the stick mic when you see a reporter out in the field and they're holding this what looks like a ice cream cone in front of their face with the windscreen on it. So the lavalier prevents a lot of that background noise because it's single directional as opposed to omnidirectional. Omnidirectional picks up all sound and surrounding sound.
So, who do chapters contact once their YouTube channel has been established?
Okay. So once your channel has been established, the first thing you'll do is come over and hit this button here and subscribe to Kappa League TV. And that will, and then we can go and look at who has subscribed to us. So that would be right here under channels. I believe, please don't embarrass me. Yes. So you can see right here, we've got all these different Kappa League channels that have already subscribed. So if you have a Kappa League channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please come and subscribe. And if you don't have a Kappa League channel, then we need for you to put up your own YouTube channel with the name of your city and then Kappa League after it. So like these, GSO Kappa League, Central Mississippi Kappa League, RPAC Kappa League. And then that will, and then we'll know from there that you're up and we'll reach out and subscribe back to you.
Sounds good. So when we look at videos, and we'll probably have to get into this the next time, one of our next segments, but you know, one of the things that's big out there is hashtags and putting tags on videos. So should we be doing that when we're uploading videos?
Yes, you should. And let me see. Brother Burnett, are you on the line?
He's on mute right now.
Yes, I'm on the line, and you had a question for me?
Well, we're just gonna, they were asking about hashtags, and I was just wondering which were the hashtags that you prefer.
So the hashtags, and I will, let's put it this way, I will send those out because I'm drawing a blank on them right now, to be honest with you. I know we've used hashtag of I am achievement. We use hashtag YKappa's mentor. We're going to continue to use those. We're also going to use hashtag 95 years of guide right. Those are the three that we're going to be using for sure this year.
Okay.
But particularly for our Kappa Leaguers, hashtag I am achievement is one that that we definitely want to use.
All right. All right.
And I also wanted to, again, thank our presenters. You know, I hope everybody knows this is a major initiative for us this year in positive video reporting. Besides subscribing on Kappa League TV to our main Kappa League TV channel, we're also asking you to send videos into our National Guide Rights social media. You can send it in to, I think it's content at National Kappa League, I believe it's .org, but you should have that out. If not, I'll send that out again.
All right. All right. And we'll also, like I said, we'll send you an updated list of hashtags so that you guys can know, so that we can all be hashtagging the same thing. So the answer is yes, there is. And let's get a list of who was on this call and we'll send them out.
All right, sounds good.
Man, that was a good question. I'm like over here, where are my hashtags? Where are my hashtags?
Yeah, that was a great question. That was a great question.
So once again, we want to thank you guys for coming on this evening.
Is that it? Is it over?
Almost.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it goes really fast. So we have one more poll that we actually want to send out. So the poll is out. Do you display positive images on your social media? Yes, no, sometimes, or not applicable. And not applicable is, I really don't do a lot of stuff on social media. So we'll give people a little bit of time to answer that. We do want to thank our presenters, John Marshall Jones and Eric Connor, for coming on this evening to present this wonderful content. Just know that we will have more in this series on social media. We'll be talking about how to upload your video, how to edit your video. So I think one of the things that we talked about was doing iMovie. We'll also probably talk about how you do a B-roll. We're also going to have another presenter come on and talk about how do you do presentation skills to help you out there. So we'll have more in this series. We'll be looking forward to doing more with social media, because we want to make sure that we're always displaying a positive image, especially from a Kappa League perspective.
All right, I want to throw in here. I have some hashtags. Hashtag Kappa League. Hashtag mentors. Hashtag my brother's keeper. And Brother Burnett, how do you feel about hashtag fraternity?
I think we're going to stay away from that one.
Okay, we'll stay away from that one. So hashtag Kappa League, hashtag mentors, hashtag my brother's keeper. And then we'll have some more for you, but we'll figure out 7 or 8 that'll really drive the most traffic and bring home the message.
Perfect.
So once again, we want to thank you for joining the Diamonds in the Rough webinar series. Please remember, these webinars are brought to you by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation and the Kappa Foundation. We will have some new webinars coming up within the next several months, and we thank you again for joining. As I said again, we want to thank John Marshall Jones and Eric Connor for this wonderful presentation, and we will be in contact with more things. If you'd like to review a recording of this, please look out for an email. The email will show you the recording so that you can review this later. For those Kappa League programs that did not have enough people who registered at this time, please remember that you can always come back and review the recording and share it with your Kappa Leaguers and your chapters. Once again, we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar series. Thank you and have a good evening.